In this video, I'm going to show you different things that you can use to make your kit a lot lighter. By doing this, I've gotten rid of about 20 pounds worth of makeup outside of my kit. My kit's still pretty heavy and it depends on the job that I'm doing, but it can get up to about 50 pounds. And that's a lot of weight to carry around. Right now, because I do work on a travel show, my kit, including lighting and other tools and essentials, runs about 45 pounds. So it would have been a lot heavier had I not done these tricks. So let's just run through the basics of what you would use and how you would depot them. And of course, there are many other things out in the market outside of what I have here. What I have here today is just stuff that I actually use, but there are different tools that are on sites like Cosmetics and Nigel's and Namie's that are in Los Angeles. I think LA, you guys have Ricky's, Alcone. So there are a lot of places that you can find different types of materials, but I'll talk about them as I go on in this video. Okay, so there are so many things that you can use when it comes to depotting your kit, and I encourage you to think outside the box. Find any sort of container that's tiny that you can find. That way you can get your kit to be as light as possible. You know, for example, skincare comes in these random sizes and containers and jars, and for what? Like, you can really just depot these. So let's get started on some of the things that I carry in my kit. To get started, pill cases are going to be your best friend when it comes to depotting thick like creams. Anything that's not runny, it's very, very dense. So for example, lip balms, lipsticks, really thick full coverage concealers and foundations. These are fantastic to use. Any sort of pill case, actually. This one I got from Daiso. This one is from Muji. And you can see here I have 6 different colored lip balms, and then I have 2 of them that are see-through, sheer, whatever. And this is a great way to host a bunch of products. And look at this slender little case. And that's not even, I love small things. This one by Muji is fantastic because if you are in the bridal industry and you need to send your client off with some lipstick, what you can do with these containers is literally take off one of the containers and then send them off their way with a container full of lipstick. So putting lipstick in something like this in here is pretty phenomenal. And the fact that you can make this as long as you want, short as you want, whatever, is fantastic. This holds an entire lipstick, maybe a little bit more because these are pretty big, but great way to host some of your products. Another thing that I like to use are small little empty palettes. This is by, I think this is by Cinema Secrets. It's just a clear palette. Is it Cinema Secrets or Ben Nye? I think it's Cinema Secrets. Just a little small palette of different lipsticks that you can label in the back, label in the front, and then now you have, what, how many? 5 lipsticks in the palm of your hand. Very easy, and you can leave the bottles at home and it's just less clutter to worry about. I carry this in my touch-up kit. Actually, a lot of the things that you're gonna see today are from my touch-up kit just because they're so efficient, it just works beautifully. So using empty palettes to fill it in with thick, dense creams is great. I would do this with thick foundations as well, like the Full Coverage by Matte. Absolutely, if you only need just 5 colors and you're really good at mixing and matching, you can do one with a warm undertone and another one with a cool undertone and really just blend just by using the 5 colors, and you can get true custom blend that way. So I'm gonna move on to spray bottles, and spray bottles are fantastic. Granted, you could buy the travel size versions of your favorite spray products. Sure, I almost said that very weird, but even still, I don't go through all of this in one job. Depending on what you're doing, obviously there's factors in everything. You're not gonna get through all of this. So get rid of those and go smaller. This is about the equivalent size of the Urban Decay spray. This is a 30 milliliter jar. I got this from Daiso. I almost want to say Miniso, but because they sell these too, but I got this from Daiso. Get the smaller version, which is the 15 milliliter. Another 15 milliliter size bottle is this. A very slender size bottle that you can find on Amazon, and they sell these in packets. 15 milliliter spray bottles. And these guys are fantastic. You can see I use this. This is the Urban All-Nighter Setting Spray. And you just, it's a great spray. And I could probably get about 5 faces out of this bottle. 5? Yeah, 4 or 5, maybe 6 uses. I think that's pushing it. About 5 is good. But if you only have a couple people to do, bam, it's great. Another bottle that I love using, and this is the most prominent bottle in my kit, are these tiny little guys. I believe these are also 15 milliliter. They're just a different size. Oh, they're so cute. So I have these just stored up in my kit, and I really do love the fact that they're all the same size and they're all labeled. They all look the same. So when you set it out, it's just like this weird sort of medicinal office looking setup because they're all just perfectly white and clear and clean. What I do if I have this in my kit and I'm setting up my kit on my table, I label the top of these little guys so that you can see, I can see just by the codes what they are, so I can go, oh, that's Fix Plus, boom, and I can pull it out and there you go. So much lighter weight than using the original container. So this here is the Fix Plus matte, and this is the Fix Plus matte. So it's just a matter of how you work and what you need. Obviously this alone versus the full size is going to really, you know, enhance the kit, but going this small, believe me, it's enough. You can do your job just fine with the tiny little bottles. Another thing that I use constantly, and I really do love this product, is this type of bottle. So let's say you do need to have a lot of stuff. I use Max Brush Cleanser inside of a spray bottle because it's easier for me to spray the brush and quickly just run it over a towel to do the next client in case I'm overloaded that day. And a bottle like this is great so that I'm not carrying the entire bottle with me in my kit. Another reason why I love this bottle is because it's oval, it's slender, so it fits in these places. Like this is like the magic bottle. It just fits everywhere. So I have a lot of these, and these I purchased from Nigel Beauty Supply. Yes. And unfortunately, Nigel, Namies, these makeup shops are not that great at having these bottles available on the internet. Like they don't post their inventory that well. So I don't know if I'll be able to link them for you, but I also don't know. I believe maybe this is a 1 ouncer. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to figure this out, and if I do find it, I will link it in the description box below. But Nigel's do carry this oval shaped spray bottle, and I love it because it's just so slender, and it just, when you have these bottles stacked compared to like a round bottle, it's just so much easier. They take up way less space. Another way that you can carry dense cream items is using things like sample size containers, sample little jars, the ones that have the twisty lid, and then the ones, of course, that pop open like this. A thick cream is going to fit in here perfectly. An eye cream, a moisturizer, full coverage foundations and concealers, anything that's super dense. I don't recommend, when it comes to the pillowcases, when it comes to these things, I do not recommend depotting any sort of cream that dries. So your gel eyeliners, your paint pots, any sort of primers, those you should probably leave in their containers because these are not airtight and they will dry down if you don't use them quick enough. Because, you know, you get people that are like, it works fine for me. Well, maybe because you use it quick enough. But there are some people that don't use every single product, and I don't recommend doing that in things like this. But eye creams, moisturizers, concealers and foundations, lipsticks, absolutely. Another great way to send your clients off with lipstick they can just put in their purse. Tiny little jars. So now moving on to Squeezy bottles. Now these travel size bottles, obviously it's nothing new to you, but this is still pretty big to use for, I would use this for like body lotions. This is gigantic. I cannot imagine putting a full size foundation in here. Absolutely not. You may as well just keep it in the bottle itself. Dang, these are heavy. Ooh, Dior, you're crazy. Okay, so ways to downsize are using bottles like this, the Squeezy ones that have a top similar to this. I never have any leakage problems anymore. I've gone through the ringer. I will drop a pretty penny on the right small little container. I go to the Container Store and I buy their leak-proof bottles all the time. I love them and I'm aware that you can find things cheaper, but listen, I'm a stickler about things exploding on me. So far with all these bottles and stuff, I haven't had an issue, knock on wood. But this here, a bottle like this, which is about 1 ounce, is going to fit, you know, your body creams, sunscreens, your Embryolisse moisturizers. I would do moisturizers like this, or deep potting your liquid foundations into something like this because it's small size. Now this is a lot. Like if you're gonna do foundation in a bottle like this, that's a lot, and that's your entire bottle of foundation too. And even though they are all gonna look the same, I still feel like that's just a lot of foundation you're not gonna get through, and I feel like you're wasting product by putting it in here and then not using it up when you're at work. So go even smaller. I recommend doing the half-ounce size bottles that come with a dropper that are similar to this. Now, unfortunately, I purchased this one at Nigel Beauty Supply. This one I got from Namies, and they don't sell these anymore. These were from Japanesque. I don't know how to pronounce it. They discontinued this product. However, I know you can find these on like cosmetics. If I find it, I'll post it below. These are the half-ounce size bottles, Squeezy, and this little lid here pops off so that you can put in any sort of moisturizer, foundation, whatever that's a liquid form, and it won't leak. I have not had an issue with these guys. Here, go back in. There you go. Click, and then you can, it's an amazing bottle. I love these guys. I also put my hand sanitizer in here. Hand sanitizer bottles are tiny, but again, that's a lot of product that you're not gonna go through, so put it in a smaller container. Lighten your kit. It will save your back and it'll save you. So here's an example of, where is it? Of my foundations that are in the 0.5 milliliter size bottles. Blah, blah. So they're in a case like this. This right here is a foundation set, and I have enough foundations to get me through the typical clientele that I see on the daily. And I have a few mixing mediums in here as well, which I have to refill. I couldn't think of the word. So this right here is a great example of being able to carry multiple foundations. And look it's so slender and so tiny, and it's really, really lightweight. Probably because I have to refill a lot of it. But truthfully, my absolute #1 favorite bottle that I love to use for foundations, and I shit you not, are these tiny little bottles like this. And I know you're probably like, you've got to be kidding. No, these are amazing. I bought this from Nigel Beauty Emporium, and when I realized how I can actually store these in my kit, it changed my game forever. And now every liquid foundation that I carry is in these tiny little bottles. I believe this is 3 milliliters. It's so cute and tiny, and you can find them, I'm sure, on cosmetics. This at Nigel was like $1 a piece. It's not cheap. So, but I'm the kind of person who wants things immediately. And I bet you're like, well, how do you store them? I store these guys in a Vueset. And this is my absolute favorite way to carry foundations now, in a tiny Vueset. Now, how I organize this thing is that I label the hell out of it. So for example, this is the Beauty Blender foundation. I may create another one for Beauty Blender so I can have all of the colors on my person. So far, I've been doing pretty well with this one. Most of my clientele ranges from the medium to medium dark range, and I add a couple of dark and a couple of light, which is sort of unorganized in here, into here because I very rarely do hit these two colors, but I have to make sure that I'm prepared for any skin tone color. And as a makeup artist, you better make sure that you can do anyone's skin tone color with this. Now, after I've labeled exactly what shade it is, at the very bottom, I have here different sorts of color. Here, let me just bring these out. Colorful dots that I got from Daiso. And here's a red one too, to indicate the undertone. Now, I use so many foundations. I don't know, I could not tell you the undertones of everything. I don't know, I just look at a product and I'm like, I think that's the color. And what I do is I custom blend foundations for every single client of mine. I never use one color straight out of the bottle. It's just not how I see makeup. So I end up having to mix, and because not everyone's one undertone either, I will usually mix. So this is an olive undertone, this is a warm undertone, and the yellow indicates a golden undertone. So that's just one way that you can label these tiny ass little bottles. That way you're not confused as to what is what. Unless you know the brand that you're using and you know their color line very well, you don't have to worry about it. But you know, MAC Studio Fix Fluid, if that's still a popular thing, goes great in here. I love, love, love using this. I have my Facet, I'm trying to look for the other ones. Where are the other ones at? I have my Face Atelier foundations into this clear Vueset. Here is what it looks like without any product in it. So these are the bottles, and I, of course, every time I'm at Nigel and they have these bottles, I will swoop them up and I'll buy a Vueset, because I always find a new foundation and a new concealer that I love very much. So this is a great way to host all of your Makeup Forever concealers, because they'll go into these little containers very well. You can tell I'm talking about this a lot because I really love these little bottles. And I'm so excited that I figured it out. Now, to refill these, it took me some time. I'm not gonna lie. I sat there and I took forever just to make sure I didn't have to use any sort of syringes, because I can't stand using syringes to refill bottles. But all you gotta do is pull off this top, which looks like this, and then you have this amount of space to squeeze the product in here, and it does work. I pop on a movie and I make it work. So any type of concealer, look at this amount, it's fantastic. Another thing that you can use when it comes to using bottles like this is skincare. So all of this is fantastic. You can put a whole bunch of eye creams, anything liquidy. The thick creams I don't recommend using in something like this, because when you squeeze it, the top is gonna blow off and you're gonna get product everywhere. You want things in a liquid form in something like this. So eye creams, very thin lotions, primers, 100% yes. So imagine having primers and moisturizers and eye creams all in the palm of your hand. Can you imagine how light your kit would be? I'm a huge lover and fan of Vueset. I think they've really saved my body, and I will praise them forevermore, because fantastic, fantastic. And speaking of Vueset, if you've never heard of them before, if you've never seen them, get out of the rock you are hiding under and come out for some fresh air, because these bad boys are gonna save you and your kit. Here I have the entire slipcover line by Senna Cosmetics. This is a wax-based foundation, and it is all in here in the Senna. I also even carried, because I had 4 leftover spaces, I just pulled out some of the blushes from her blush palette into here. So you can take her blush palette, stick it in here. Anything that's a thick cream, MAC Full Coverage Foundation is what I have in here, and that's in my kit still. Other examples of the Vueset, I did put the Danessa Myricks Cream Cover Vision formula in here, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the Danessa Myricks in this container, but this is already filled and I'm not even gonna try to mess with it. So when I have this in my kit, I make sure that it's always flat. Something about the Danessa Myricks, even though it is a thick formula, it can still spill over into the sides and into the other wells. These are not airtight, because if you try to put in your gel eyeliners and things that dry down, they're gonna dry down. I've experienced this and it's just no, big no. I also, oh, that's Sean Richards. That's already in a palette. I also have my Kevin Aquan Sensual Skin Enhancers because these are very, very thick. I have them in this type of Vuesets. This Vueset here, I believe is called the Tahiti. This one, oh man, I'm so sorry, I don't know. I don't know the name of this one, but this is the 12 well. And this one here, I believe, has 24 wells. So foundations, concealers, 100%. Instead of carrying, you know, a bunch of concealer pots, just do it in here. And that's so much time that's just saved because you have everything at the palm of your hand. It's such a great thing to have. Another way that you can use the Vuesets, obviously, is for lipsticks. And let me show you right here while I shake my camera. You have here lipsticks. Now this is the MAC Cosmetics, I almost call them quads. It's like the editorial lipstick sets. They come in 6 inside of a palette already. And the palettes are about this big, but I wanted more efficiency. So these are the 6 palettes that came out. This is the Modern Browns, Preferred Pinks, the Editorial Reds, and the Select Plums in their individual palettes, now into one Vueset that I have it labeled. And these are organized in the exact same way that it's in the actual MAC palette, so that when I go to buy another one, I can just refill them and know exactly where the colors are. And if I could just do my entire kit in Vueset, I would. There's no question. I also like to use my Vuesets for smaller things like disposable wands. Now this is in my touch-up kit. This is just a mixture of all the things together because look, when I'm on set and I have to do touch-ups, I don't have the time, or the space rather, to carry a giant tackle box of all the organized, you know, lip wands and mascara wands and whatnot. I just need to be able to open it and then get exactly what I need and pull it out. And that's exactly what I do with the Vueset. So this here is a slim container and it has everything that I need at the palm of my hand. And it's just easy. You can even, if you're that makeup artist, this is another way. If you are the kind of person, listen, when we go to Crafty and we go to lunch, sometimes lunch is disgusting. And this is a great way to put it in your purse and host all of your packets of hot sauces that won't explode. Ketchup, mustard, mayo, whatever. It's not gonna explode because it's in this protective case. I'm just saying, I'm helping you guys out. That's all. Another thing too, Vueset makes a thicker container, so I do have extra disposable sponges and cotton pads in case I have to deal with the client who, you know, can't use like real brushes or whatever like that. Like let's say you have just like an open sore or whatever like that. You know, you have your disposables ready to go. And I keep them in this tiny little container because it's not often that I come across this, but when I do, I'm prepared. So these are just some ways that you can depot your kit and to make it into a much lighter, a much more accessible thing. Now with pigments and glitters, I have it all in this little container that I picked up from Michaels. And this was a project that took me a while. You can see here that it's totally custom made from their bead aisle organizer. This was like $10, I believe, from Michaels, but if you use a coupon, it ends up being like $5. So in here, you have these little containers, which for me has all of my pigments. I so rarely use pigments nowadays in my career, just because I do a lot of television and reality television. And so, you know, we're not using bright blue, but I've depotted my pigments into something like this. And in the back of this container, I have them all labeled so I know what color is what, right? Do I? Yes. In the back here, I have it labeled, like what color is what. So if I need to refill, I can refill with those little pigment containers, because carrying around those pigment containers, annoying. They're just, no. And the cool thing about this, it's not going anywhere. Best believe my glitters are the exact same way. So this is what I did. I took this container and I went to the Dollar Tree, and what I did was I took double-sided sticky tape and I sticky taped some of this shelf liner from the Dollar Tree, some cheap ass shelf liner, and I took care of the top. Let me take these out to show you. And I also took care of the bottom. So the entire bottom row has some shelf liner, and these individual things on each side has shelf liner, as well as the top and the bottom portion of each individual slot, because by doing that, it now leaves this super snug fit of these guys, because by himself these will jiggle, and I've seen them jiggle by themselves, and I had to design a way to keep them snug, because loose glitters and loose pigments, they're a pain in the ass, right? So now I have a system that is completely organized. I have so many pigments on me and they don't jiggle. And the reason why I have an issue with that is because when you jiggle them, the lid starts to come undone. And when the lid comes undone, that's when you get your explosion. So this is fantastic so long as you use some sort of shelf liner or velvet, some sort of padding to make your glitters and your pigments not move around. And then obviously, I think us as makeup artists, we know the big deal about buying pans. Now, I want to make note that just as individuals, we should be buying pans. And I'm gonna try my best to move forward with this thought process. The amount of plastic that we consume is ridiculous, and being a makeup artist, it is sort of impossible to be 100% eco-friendly. Not happening, because a lot of the products that we use have ingredients that are damaging to the planet. The packaging that we use, the disposables that we use, the wipes that we use, it's just a mess. So there are ways to go around buying excess packaging. And so if you can, make sure that you're only buying products, just if you can, that sell in the pan version. And a lot of people, in case you're not a makeup artist and you're watching this, a lot of people don't know that this pan is the exact same size as, as I drop it everywhere, as this one. What you are buying is this exact same product, but this is all the extra packaging and plastic that you're buying and then throwing in the trash, which is ending up in the landfill, which is ending up destroying the planet. So try your best to just buy a palette, a clean one, and buy the eyeshadows that you like in the pan form so that you can create your own palette of eyeshadows that you actually use. I'm actually gonna start promoting the whole stop buying these eyeshadow palettes that are pre-made that are like $70, especially when you're only using 4 or 5 eyeshadows out of them. You know, create your own palette. I know NARS and MAC and I believe Inglot, right? Makeup Forever, they all sell pan versions of their products, especially, you know, places like Nigel's and Amy's. You can ask them who is selling pans. Viseart, believe it or not, from their palettes, you can still pop out the eyeshadows. They all come out very easily. So in order to downsize your kit, you can take all the Viseart ones out to stick it into a Z palette or whatever palette that you like. This obviously is an old school MAC palette. This is my favorite palette out there because it's so slender, but they don't make them anymore, unfortunately. And these break easily, but I tell you what, they're my favorite because I don't get any sort of problems with this. This is the Z palette. A lot of people hate these. A lot of people love these. I don't have an issue. But this will have pan sizes of my powders, and these are the Bobbi Brown powders, but they don't come without the container. So I have all these plastic containers that I'm like, does anyone want to recycle this? They're just sitting in my storage because I don't want to throw them away because that's just so much wasted plastic. I have to figure out where to dispose of them. Also too, NARS sells their own palettes. This one right here is just like an example of some of my Rocky Cosette colorful ones. I've been messing around with this palette lately in my periscopes and stuff, so I haven't put this in my kit. So this is kind of mine now, but these are all the Rocky Cosette, and Cosette is another fantastic eyeshadow line that honestly is one of my favorites. Like, I almost want to say it's the best, just because it's so good, and they're so pigmented. And the palettes, you can just buy your own. Cosette also has his own palettes that he sells, like this, just clean, empty palettes, and I recommend that you guys sticking with it and trying to buy, you know, things that come in palletized, like Ben Nye powders. I think Ket makes their individual powders. Oh my gosh, who else out there? I'm drawing a blank now. But if you can, stick with the places that sell just the pans. That way you can avoid this whole depotting mess. Yes, you can, for the things that you already have, you can depot everything. You can take, oh, what's this from? Oh! See, that black, is there a black eyeshadow somewhere? It's always. You can take out this little, I'm not gonna do it here, but you can I do it here? No. Anyway, so there's a tiny little sliver and you can take out this plastic portion here, hold it over an open little tea light flame candle, and then eventually work the pan out and pop it out, put a magnet on it, and then create your own palette. It's tedious work. You can even do it with the melt eyeshadow stacks. Yes, you can depot those. You just gotta be very careful. And any sort of powders as well, you can depot. You can depot anything. You just be careful and be safe. Okay, so here is how you can depot your loose powders. Should you use them in your kit? I don't even use loose powders because they're such a nightmare. However, you can use them, and this is fantastic. I can't believe I almost forgot about you. So obviously they sell tiny little containers, little jars that you twist off, and there's little holes in them so you can just right into your puff. Yes, you can use those. They sell them everywhere. And then they also sell a bottle. It's about this size and it has a little spout on the side that you lift up, and then and it just poofs powder onto your sponge or your puff or whatever that you're using. Then you can use it on your client. So they sell that too. But also, I was being crafty one day. This is not the bottle that I use because my RCMA loose powder clearly is in my kit somewhere because I don't see it. I used a sprinkles bottle, and then I thought I was all cool, like, oh my god, I'm so crafty. You clean it out, use the sprinkles canister, and that is how I use my powders. Because the RCMA powder kind of comes in a similar container, but the sprinkles one has a smaller little lid to it. It's like, it's amazing. And then I found this bad boy at Nigel, and I'm like, it's the same concept. It's just a spice, sprinkles, little canister, and now I host all of my loose powders inside something like this, and now I don't get powder everywhere, and it's the easiest thing to use. So I also got the idea from a Cinema Secrets or Ben Nye, the translucent powders. They come in forms like this as well, and that's when I got the idea to use a sprinkles container, because I was like, well, so make sure that if you're going to use a sprinkles or a spice container for your loose powders, clean it out and make sure you clean it out really well and sanitize the hell out of it, because you don't want paprika going in someone else's eye. See what I'm saying? Or just buy these bottles and these containers, because this is a great way to host loose powder. This is the Coty Airspun. It's not labeled because it doesn't really go in my kit. I don't use this shit. So that, my friends, is everything about depotting your kit. I hope this video was a little educational for you. I hope I went over most of the ways that you can depot your kit. If there are some ways that I haven't talked about in this video, it's probably because I forgot about them or I didn't know about them. So share your ideas in the comments below. Tell us how you use specific items and what you use and where to get them. Always, always, always share links if you can, because I know a lot of people are gonna ask you, where'd you get that from? So I'm gonna again try to post as many links as I can in the description box if I can find them. Otherwise, head to your makeup supply shops and head to places like cosmetics and other sites that sell things like this. And yeah, if you liked what you saw and if you learned something or if you were just entertained, please feel free to support me and my channel by sending me a coffee by clicking the coffee link that is down in my description box as well. It's like my tips for giving you tips here on the interwebs, and I really do love coffee, and that is the best way to support me. Coffee boba. Oh my gosh, my world has changed. So I will see you guys very soon, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments below. Bye everybody.